Hi, welcome to Motherland, Airis. Today, joining us is a Nigerian well-known sculptor. First heard about him a few years ago, about a guy who actually sculpts with spoons, which is very strange. He's joining us today. His name is Collins. Collins, welcome to Motherland. Thank you for joining me today. Tell me about yourself. So you make things out of spoons. Well, before I even go into that, right? Because that's just a bit crazy. Tell me where are you from in Nigeria? What part of Nigeria are you from?
Okay. My name is my full name is actually Abinoro Collins. I'm from Delta States. I'm an Orobo.
Orobo, okay.
Yeah, by tribe. I'm from Akporode, located in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State.
Can you tell me your journey being an artist, like how you started, you decided, okay, this is what I want to do, and then how that transformed into spoons and sculpting?
Right. Well, as a child, almost every artist or every child naturally has the ability to make scribbles, to draw things. You know, so I became conscious of my natural abilities at really early age. You know, from 5, 6, I could actually draw almost anything. You know, cartoons and all of that, as most children would, of my age at that time would do. You know, but kind of my father actually never liked the idea of my trying to develop my skill in art and probably become an artist. You know. So he tried as much as he could to see how he can distract my attention from it. You know, growing up in Delta States, an oil-rich state, the average family or parents would expect that their children will major in sciences, so you can end up in oil and gas. You know, where we presume the real big deal, you know, big money is you know.
Of course.
But yeah, you know, so that was the situation for me. But I had to go through a lot of fighting and trying to hold on to what I believe in, that I wanted for myself, the passion that I had as a young child, and this is all I wanted to do, to draw, to make pictures, and to create things.
It was all about economic opportunity at the time, and
right.
I think things have changed. I think, and I'm just gonna put this out there. I remember when I was running my studio in Lagos a few years ago, and Davido was just started his career. I remember him coming to my studio, and we talked about what he wanted to do. And I remember he had a little bit of pushback from his family because he wanted to sing. And I'm not going to go into the details, but it was very difficult to convince his dad, that he should just let him sing. And I mean, look at him today. He's one of the biggest artists coming out of Africa. Why do you sculpt with spoons? Okay, that's just basic. Why are you sculpting with spoons?
Now let's fast forward. Most of the times when our lecturers kept saying, you have to try to think of materials that are non-conventional in art practice, in sculpture practice. You know, beside stone, beside wood carving, beside fiber, beside bronze. Think of non-conventional materials that people really don't pay attention to. We started building up, junk materials that we'll pick from the streets and from junkyards, And one of the practices that I had started doing at that time was, often the time I would lay flat on the ground, on bare ground in the studio, all of my junk, and just look at them, literally look at them.
See, that's the stuff artists do that we don't.
Yeah,
okay, you were laying next to your materials. Okay, I need to do that. Lay down next to my computer.
Naturally, it will speak to you.
Right.
You become consumed with that environment, with the studio, with the things you see. It appeared to me the similarities in likeness of the spoon handles, to those of feathers.
Okay.
And for the first time, I became very conscious and very aware of it. That I can actually use this to create feathers of birds.
Okay.
And that was actually the first moment that I had. And I started out my first piece, a very small cockerel that I made with about 12 dozens of spoons.
Wow, that's a lot of spoons, man.
But now I make well over 4,000 or 5,000 pieces of spoon on a single piece.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You are wrecking out the spoon market. This is why we can't find spoons. Every time I go to the store, there are no spoons. Anyway, oh, that's amazing though. That's really, really wonderful. Because your largest sculpting piece is that's 4,000 or 5,000 spoons large.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow. Looking at African Americans here in the United States, looking at people from the Caribbean, Jamaica, for instance, I observe a lot of similarities between them and what they do and Africans from the continent. And I noticed that a lot of times they don't even know that they're doing things that we do. And there's this huge gap. And I'll tell you I'll give you an example, right? My husband is Jamaican, and there's a dish they eat called kalaloo, and it's like green leaves, and it's made with this fish. And for a long time, I was like, this fish smells like stockfish. This fish, it's like, no, it's saltfish. I'm like, okay, anyway, so I one day I buy this fish and I look at it and I'm like, this is stockfish. And I'm telling him, like, this is stockfish. He's like, no, your fish smells. I'm like, your fish smells too. And so you realize that there's this, connection that exists that's not even there. Yeah. It's like two people from the same place that don't talk to each other.
Right. You see, I think for me, what I've observed is as long as you're African, as long as you're black, either very real dark skin or mixed race or something, as long as you have the gene of blackness in you, we're the same.
How would you make that connection as an artist that creates such wonderful works coming out of Nigeria? How would you connect to your brother in a different continent who doesn't know you? What would you tell somebody from Jamaica or from America that's black about why they should care about Africa and where you're from?
The first thing first, I think Africa, as black people, we're going through a whole lot of discrimination globally. We've always been, and currently it's really intense. And a lot of us don't have confidence in who we are, sort of our identity. So what I do with most of my work is creating pieces that actually reflects, having confidence in who we are. The kind of hair that we have, our skin colors, our character, our charisma as people, why we behave the way we are. So I have collections of works that reflect all of these, and also trying to wear the trueness of an African person. And that's one of the decisions I made to actually when I decided to lock my hair.
I like that,
I should be proud of who I am. This is who I am, and I'm proud of it. Absolutely. You understand?
Yeah, which brings me to the point that we don't know enough about who we are. So we're so rich when it comes to art, but we don't talk about that enough, So which one would you like to talk about today? Which one do you want to educate us about today?
The Benin particularly is fascinating to me because of the kind of kinship that they practice. They still do practice. The Benins are one of the only people in Nigeria, beside the Ife, that almost see their king as a god. So whatever the king wakes up in the morning and decides, stands. Look at the stone carving from Ife. They are magnificent, beautifully done.
Yeah, very, very detailed work. Like, you look at the level of detail they put in the work, and even the culture itself is just amazing.
Now, you call African arts primitive, and then you have modern arts, which is inspired actually from art from Africa. You call it modern arts. For me, it doesn't add up. It's like putting down this one because it's coming from Africa, and bringing this up because
I never thought about that, but now that you brought it up, it's true. In school, they used to tell us that African art was called primitive art, and it just didn't register at the time. But that was the curriculum that they wanted us to learn. We don't talk about enough about who we are. We don't dig into who we are, and we let other people write our history, and that is one of the biggest problems that we have.
Of course, that's why I'm also very excited about platform as you're having right now, because what it's doing is it's giving people opportunity to learn about Africa.
That is the goal of Motherland, and thank you so much for bringing that up, for recognizing that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Collins. I really appreciate it, and stay safe out there.
All right.
Bye-bye.